Hello, friends. We are ready for chapter 15. All right, so just a quick recap. Chapter 14, the Fun Crafts came and Tiffany helped to save Papa Doll, who was wedged behind the armoire in the wall. So he's back home. Everything is kind of smoothed over and peaceful for the doll family. The Fun Crafts have kind of chilled out a little bit, and the captain is locked downstairs. That's big. So I was telling y'all yesterday how I kind of felt kind of meh about these chapters because I was so ready for us to keep exploring and go to the attic. I thought more about that, and these couple of chapters, while not the action I wanted, were really important to lay the foundation for what's to come. So it was important that this happened so that the captain would get locked downstairs. It was important that this happened so Papa Doll and Uncle Doll could be back on good terms with each other. So I take back what I said. Yes, they were important chapters. But now I'm excited to get into the action of chapter 15, which is called Into the Attic. All right, that night, Papa didn't wait as long as usual before he announced, "The coast is clear." The moment the words were out of his mouth, the dolls ran to where he lay in the parlor. Annabelle had been about to reach for the journal, but she joined her family instead. "Now how do you feel?" was the first thing Mama said to Papa. "Even better," he replied. "I think the glue is dry." Papa sat up, and Uncle Doll sat next to him. He and Papa Doll smiled at each other. "We're glad to have you both back with us." "We're glad to have you back with us," said Papa. "You're part of the family. You belong here." "Thank you. Yes, I know," said Uncle Doll, looking more pleased than uncomfortable. So there's Papa Doll and Uncle Doll sitting together. "Now the whole family's together," said Annabelle, "except for, well, you know." "Let's not talk about that tonight," said Bobby, glancing at the adults. Annabelle knew he didn't want any fighting on Papa's first night at home, and neither did Annabelle, but she did want to find Auntie Sarah. So a few minutes later, she returned to the nursery. She opened Auntie Sarah's journal and flipped to the last page on which there was writing. She gasped. A new paragraph had been added. We already knew somebody else was writing in this journal, but now we definitely know that. Someone has added something else. It said, "Made another trip to the attic this morning. Wish humans would leave door to attic stairs open more often. But they usually close it. It's just next to Catherine's bedroom. Perhaps a draft comes in when the door is open." So whoever wrote this is like telling them where the door is, why it's cracked, why it's usually closed. It's like helping them get clues to how to get to the attic. Annabelle dropped the journal. She didn't even finish reading the entry. She now knew two things. One, the way to the attic was up a staircase next to a bedroom, which was probably the room in which Kate's parents now slept. Two, someone knew that Annabelle had found the journal, was writing in it, and wanted Annabelle to look for Auntie Sarah in the attic, and was telling her the way to the attic. Annabelle clattered down the staircase, not even bothering to be quiet. "I have to find Tiffany," she cried as she skidded into the parlor. "It's an emergency." "I'll be back later," and she began scrambling down the stool without waiting for her parents or Nanny or Uncle Doll to answer her. She had flown across Kate's room and was rounding the corner into the hall when she crashed into another moving object. "Oh no, please don't let me be in doll state again," thought Annabelle. And then she saw that she had run into Tiffany. The girls straightened up quickly and flattened themselves against the wall. "You won't guess what I just found," exclaimed Annabelle, gasping a little, just as Tiffany whispered, "It's time for our next mission." "What?" they both said. "Then you go first," said Tiffany. "Okay, but not here in the hall." Annabelle pulled Tiffany back into Kate's room and they scurried under her dresser. Then Annabelle told her what she had read in the journal. The door next to the Palmer's bedroom, said Tiffany. "Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go. It's time for our next mission anyway. That's what I was coming to tell you." "Don't we need supplies or something?" asked Annabelle. "This is our biggest mission yet." "We'll just explore on this one," replied Tiffany. "If we need supplies, we'll come back and get them. First, let's see if we can get upstairs." "Okay." Tiffany led the way along the hall to Kate's parents' room. "Here's their door," she said. It was partway open. Annabelle peeked inside. The room was dimly lit by moonlight shining through a window. Annabelle could hear the soft sounds of breathing, a clock ticking, blankets rustling. Tiffany pulled her away a few steps further down the hall, and they were standing by another door. "Darn, it's closed," whispered Tiffany loudly. "I don't think I've ever seen it open," said Annabelle. "Well, not in a long time, anyway. I thought it was a closet door. The Palmers don't like the captain to go in closets, so they keep the closet doors closed." "They probably don't want him to go in the attic either," said Tiffany. The girls stared at the enormous closed door. Then they looked at each other. And then Annabelle reached out and stuck her hands in the crack under the door. She gripped the door and pulled, and the door swung open a few inches. "Hey!" cried Tiffany. "The latch hadn't caught. I just had a feeling," said Annabelle. "Well, come on," said Tiffany. Annabelle and Tiffany slithered behind the partly open door. The darkness on the other side was much darker than the darkness in the hallway. They could barely see. "This is scary," Annabelle whispered. "I know, but there's nothing we can do about it. Maybe there'll be moonlight in the attic." Annabelle let out a small sigh. Then she and Tiffany began feeling their way up the staircase. "It isn't carpeted," said Annabelle. "This is harder than going up the living room stairs." "Lots harder," Tiffany agreed, as her hand slipped and she toppled back on Annabelle. But the girls kept going. Annabelle said over and over inside her head, "Here we come, Auntie Sarah. Here we come, Auntie Sarah. We're coming, we're coming, we're coming." She set it to a marching tune and hummed it to herself as she and Tiffany scaled step after step. Annabelle felt they had climbed quite a long way when she realized she could see her hands in front of her. "Look, Tiffany," she said, "it's lighter here. I think we're almost at the top step." Sure enough, the girls climbed one more step, and Annabelle realized that she could see a bit again, and that ahead of her now stretched a long expanse of rough wooden floor. "Tiffany," she said, "I think we're in the attic." Tiffany grinned, and then she said, "It's so light in here, it's almost as if it were daytime." So this is the good picture here. This is the girls looking in the doorway here, and then you can kind of see the dark stairs that they have to climb up. That's the whole thing. "The light's shining through that window," said Annabelle, pointing. The girls looked ahead of them at a large window. Moonlight poured in. "It must be a full moon tonight," said Tiffany. Annabelle turned her attention to the rest of the attic. "It's kind of messy," she said. "I think attics are supposed to be messy," replied Tiffany. "But boxes, trunks, junk, stuff. How are we going to look for Auntie Sarah?" "We'll just start," said Tiffany practically. "We don't have much time." "We'll call as we look," added Annabelle. Annabelle and Tiffany waded through dust bunnies. They peered around corners of cartons. They crawled under discarded furniture. "Auntie Sarah?" "Auntie Sarah," Annabelle called softly. "Hello, is anybody here?" called Tiffany. They paused frequently to listen, but heard nothing except little twitterings and chirpings and somethings in the wind. Finally, Tiffany said, "Annabelle, I think we better go back. It's getting late." "No, I don't want to leave. I think she's here. I can just feel her. We'll come back tomorrow night." Annabelle sighed. "All right." But at noon the next day, the sun began to fade, and by nightfall, rain lashed the windows. Tiffany showed up just moments after Kate had gone to bed and said sadly, "It'll be too dark to search the attic tonight, Annabelle. There's no moonlight." "I know. I thought about that all afternoon." So here's a picture of them inside the attic. You can see the moonlight coming in. But when it's raining the next day, there's no moonlight, so they can't go up there because they won't be able to see in the dark. "We'll try tomorrow night if we can." But the rain stayed. It stayed 4 days. "And you know what?" Annabelle said to Tiffany one dark night. "What?" "By the time the rain stops, we probably won't have any moonlight to search by. It'll be just a little sliver of a moon." "I wish we had a flashlight," said Tiffany. "I mean a big human flashlight." "But I know. We wouldn't be able to carry it. I was just wishing." In the end, Annabelle and Tiffany had to wait days and days and days before they could search for Auntie Sarah again. They had to wait until the next night with no clouds and an almost full moon. "I hope the attic door is still open," said Annabelle on that night as they hurried down the hallway. They did not bother to listen for the captain, who truly had been banished to the first floor. The dolls hadn't seen him at nighttime in weeks. The door was open, and Annabelle and Tiffany climbed the attic stairs as fast as they could and stood in the moonlight. "Let's start at the other end of the room this time," said Tiffany, and so they did. La 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 la. I lost my spot. Hate it when that happens. Once again, they waded through dust bunnies and peeked around the corners of cartons. Annabelle even climbed a pile of musty old clothes, stood atop it, and called, "Auntie Sarah! Auntie Sarah, it's me, Annabelle. Where are you?" She listened intently for an answer, but heard nothing. So here's a picture of them calling out in the attic. See, there's boxes and spider webs and dust bunnies, and it's just a big dark mess in there. Several hours later, Annabelle heard a clock chiming very faintly from somewhere downstairs. "Tiffany," she exclaimed, "was that 4 chimes?" "Yes," replied Tiffany. "Uh-oh. We have to leave right now." The trip down the attic stairs seemed to take forever, since Annabelle and Tiffany had to creep down them very slowly. Without carpeting, their movements made tiny clinks and thumps and clatters, but they managed to return to their homes before the Palmers awoke. The members of SELMP searched the attic again the next night without any luck. Annabelle began to fear that Auntie Sarah would not be found soon. "Oh, I just can't bear the thought of waiting for the next full moon," she said to Tiffany. "Let's try tomorrow night anyways. Maybe there will be enough light to see by." So on the 3rd night of the search, the light had faded, but Annabelle and Tiffany were familiar with the attic and poked through its hiding places anyways. "How much time do we have?" Tiffany asked Annabelle after a while. "I don't know." Annabelle was disentangling her foot from a bit of rag that was caught under the corner of an enormous steamer trunk. "Look at all the stickers on that trunk," said Tiffany. "Someone sure traveled a lot." "I bet that was William C. Hey!" cried Annabelle. Hey! She didn't bother to keep her voice down. "Shh," said Tiffany. Annabelle ignored her. "Hey!" she said again. "What is it?" "This!" exclaimed Annabelle, poking at the rag that she had tripped over. Tiffany bent down to examine it. "Yeah? It's..." Annabelle's voice caught. I'm pretty sure it's Auntie Sarah's dress." Annabelle was standing at a corner of the trunk with her shoe. She poked at the bit of faded blue fabric. Then she peeked around the corner, and there, between the trunk and the attic wall, the skirt of her dress, trapped neatly under the trunk, was Auntie Sarah. Picture. See her little feet right there? And her dress caught under that trunk. And this is the rag, she called it, that Annabelle's foot got caught on. Crazy. Annabelle gasped. Speechless, she grabbed Tiffany and pulled her to her discovery. Tiffany stared in horror. "Is that your aunt?" she whispered. "I think so." The girls stared. Auntie Sarah was covered in dust. Her left hand was chipped. Old cobwebs stretched between the trunk and her dress. Her eyes stared dully ahead. "Auntie Sarah?" Annabelle said tentatively. She looked into the expressionless eyes. "Auntie Sarah, it's me. It's Annabelle." Auntie Sarah didn't move. "Are you sure it's your aunt?" asked Tiffany. "Maybe it's an other doll. I don't think she's alive." "No, it's Auntie Sarah," replied Annabelle, a sinking feeling in her stomach. "But I think she's in permanent doll state." Tiffany lowered her eyes. "Oh, I'm sorry." Tiffany poked at Auntie Sarah's dress, her chipped hand, the cobwebs. "We might as well leave," she said. Then she jumped as a loud voice exclaimed, "Are you crazy? After all this time?" Annabelle stumbled backward against Tiffany. The doll on the attic floor had spoken. Whew, that was exciting. So, we found Auntie Sarah. Woo! First, we thought she was in permanent doll state. And I remember reading this book the first time, and I was going to be so upset if we finally found her and she was in permanent doll state. So, thankfully, she is stuck but alive and alert. And next chapter, chapter 16, is called The Dolls Make a Plan. So we will see what happens next. I'm so excited. We finally found her. Woo-woo. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday. I had to think about what day it was. Tomorrow's Friday. Woo-woo. I sent you guys a video message on Seesaw. If you haven't gotten on there to check that yet, it just gives a little bit of direction about what's coming to your Seesaw tomorrow and stuff about work next week. So hop on there and check that out if you haven't yet. Masked Singer episode 2 is also posted to Seesaw today, so have fun with that. Just kidding, it was really good. So, all right, well, I will see you guys tomorrow for chapter 16. Bye.